Good morning, good evening, good all the things. Hi, how's it going? Welcome to Tea Time True Crime with Katie. I am Katie Brannon, where we speak all things true crime. Let me know what you guys think about last week's episode where I started Tea Time Dark Times with Katie. Now, today's story is extremely upsetting. I have a trigger warning, okay? Now, if you are watching, you've noticed there is pretty glitter in my hair. That is going to be one of the shout outs I'm going to say at the end of this podcast. Now, today's podcast, like I said, is a trigger warning. I'm going to be using explicit language. I'm going to be talking about upsetting matters. And I feel that this case should be looked at. Even though this may be one of the most prolific cases in Japan's history, this case affected the whole entire world. Okay? I'm going to be talking mainly about Lucie Blackman. Lucie Blackman, if you know, there is a Netflix special. I fell asleep personally. I think now, because after all my personal research and looking up things, that I think the Netflix was a little bit phony, honestly. I know that's hard to say, and if anyone is watching who was interviewed during it, I'm not saying that you guys didn't care. I'm saying that there were things definitely missing in the case that nobody is talking about. So without further ado, I'm going to be talking about Lucie Blackman, okay? She was born September 1st, 1978. Yes, that makes her a fellow Virgo. She was 21 years old when her life was brutally taken. Her abduction case was a global phenomenon. She was quite tall. She was 5'10", model height, but sadly, she did not have a model kind of mindset. She grew up in the United Kingdom. She had a brother and she had a sister. Now, when I say she didn't grow up with a model mindset, I mean that, maybe it's a Virgo thing, a woman Virgo thing, but I feel like when you're younger, you're not really secure in yourself. And when I see the picture of Lucie, I see someone who is very bright, but I also see someone who is very reserved in this photo. I see that she may have been insecure. She did not like her facial features. I think she was very beautiful. But of course, when you're younger, we just pick the death out of ourselves. We find our flaws. So Lucie dreamed about going to Japan. She had a best friend named Louisa. Now, she loved people. Louisa did, and Lucie did. And Lucie was the kind of person that she did have friends, but she also, like I said, was a little standoffish, came off as a little prudish. Someone was mean and said she was snobbyish. But honestly, I think that's one of the Virgo women traits. I was definitely described like that in my younger years. Excuse me. So her best friend Louise was definitely an influence, okay, on Lucie. I thought I got rid of all my notifications. Forgive me, guys. Now, was she a good influence? That is debatable, okay? Although I read that Louisa is nowhere to be found, which is haunting in itself. Other articles I read from Louisa is that she was found and she's in the United Kingdom and she is very regretful for what happened to her best friend. So I do not know. There is not 100% fact, but with other creators, I found out that Louisa may have never been found, which does not sound good at all. If that is true in the work that she was in, she is probably not here on this earth anymore. All right. Now, Louisa, she was known to be I guess it's hard to say, guys, the quote unquote, the prettier friend, she got the guy, she got more friends, she had this beautiful smile. She was very gregarious. And Lucie, like I said, was a little bit standoffish. People did like her, when she opened up to them, when she warmed up to them a little bit. Now, Lucie told Louise about, hey, I'm in debt right now and I need to pay off my debts. So Louise is like, oh, okay, well, I'm a flight attendant, I'm a stewardess, and I work for British Airways. You should join as well. It's a great time. You get to travel, you get, free food. It sounds great, right? Well, as soon as Lucie became a flight attendant, she really did not like it. I mean, her mind, she thought, I'm going to get all this experience. I'm going to meet all these people and perhaps meet my future husband. But that is not what happened. Lucie did not travel the high class kind of air flights. They were economy. So she probably dealt with heat, screaming kids, sweaty, and she didn't really get to travel when she went to different ports because she was so exhausted and jet lagged from the plane ride. But she needed to still pay off her debt. So Louisa had another great idea. Why don't we go to Japan? Why don't we go to Japan? There is so much money there. The economy is booming. So let's go to Japan for, a few months to a year. Let's try it out. Let's pay off, your debt and my debt, because I'm sure, Louisa had debt of her own. It was not said. And Lucie was a little apprehensive. She was extremely excited about going to Japan, but then right before when she was about to leave, she was not very excited. She was actually very scared. So I don't know if she had like a premonition, a bad feeling. But Louisa told Lucie's mom that, hey, I have an aunt in Japan. We're going to stay with her. Everything is going to be fine. Everything is, we're just going to have a great time. We're going to live our life. And, the mother was very apprehensive, but she knew that Lucie was responsible. Now, what the mother did not know was lies. There was an aunt, yes, but she lived in the United Kingdom. She did not live in Japan. So when the girls show up in Japan, they show up pretty much with Lucie has nowhere to live. She doesn't know where she wants to work or where she can work, and she's known as a foreigner. So this is not exactly what she anticipated being paradise. This article, many articles that I've read, you guys, they have different times. I read that 3 months into being in Japan, that was when Lucie was abducted. But another article, guys, I read that she was kidnapped and abducted within 3 weeks of her moving to Japan. So if anything, guys, it is less than a year she was in Japan. She started with trying to find a job, a career, but now how visas work in other countries, I'm not exactly sure. But I know that if you don't have a visa or if you don't have a work visa, apparently there was different types of visas in the 90s and early 2000s. There's one visa that you work, and there's another visa that is like a tourist and vacation. Well, Lucie did not have a work visa, so it was very hard for her to find a job. Now, to know a little bit about Lucie, a little bit like I told you about how tall she was, and not only she's beautiful, a little introverted, she did grow up with money, and yet a broken home. Her father left her mother for another woman and had like another family. That happened when she was in her teens. Now, she did grow up in a loving family, like I believe her brother, her sister, even her mom and dad loved her very, very much. Her father, though, with all due respect, was a narcissist. and I'll go more on about that. You guys make the decision. Now, a lot of adults, finances can be an issue, even when you're a teenager, older adult, younger adult, finances can be a problem. Lucie she was racked up about 10 grand in debt. And this is in like the 90s, 2000. So she was very apprehensive about going to Japan, even though in the beginning she was really, really excited. But she was very nervous. Now, Louisa is talking about, how much money you can make in Japan. Like I said, the economy is booming. And she said there is this job called a hostess, and it's at a club. Now, the easiest way to explain this is really not an easy way. This is a very controversial career in the Japanese culture. Now, it is not disrespectful, okay? I do not want to go there. Like I said, this is a trigger warning, and I do not want to offend other countries. I have not been to Japan. It is on the bucket list, but I feel like late 90s, early 2000s, things were a little lax. Technology wasn't amazing how it is today. But a hostess is basically, I would say, kind of like a waitress, except you don't serve food, okay? And you don't clean up the table or anything like that. You actually are hired by the club, and it could be late night, and you are basically servicing. Not anything sexual by any means, but you learn how to light a cigarette properly. You learn how to giggle at their jokes, be subservient. Make sure the men feel like they are the man, like stroke their ego. So these hostesses would pretty much have a fantasy, teach these men that this is just a fantasy, this is just a good time, nothing will happen. So Louisa is really selling this hostess thing, and Lucie's kind of getting on board, wow, that's great. I don't have to touch them sexually. I don't have to do anything like that. And she's like, no, all you do is you fill their, you get them alcohol, you light their cigarettes, you laugh at their jokes, and then the manager, puts you at different tables. So you're basically a hype woman, I feel like, except you're not really hyped up. You're just hyping the businessmen up. And this was really big in Japan. I mean, we're talking about multi-millionaire businessmen would just go in there and just drop money like it was water. So some of these hostesses were making up to $2,000 a night. One hostess said she made $50,000 a month. So I feel like it's kind of, there's no really, yes, you're going to make a lot of money, or no, you're not going to make a lot of money. I feel like if you have the attitude, if you have the look, if you have the actual fantasy that you want to sell to these men, you could do very well there. Well, as I said before, when I look at Lucie, not only she is, a queen, okay? She's a Virgo queen. She's also very prudish, standoffish, but she is authentic. And that is why you have clients in the club asking for Lucie and asking for her at the table. And, soon she'll be getting commissions if you sell a whole bunch of alcohol. The job seems pretty nice. Honestly, it really does. Well, this is where we get into escort territory. Again, guys, this is just what I read and what I heard. I am not trying to disrespect the Japanese culture, but the way I feel it's kind of like an escort service, even though people are saying, no, it's not like that at all. It's called a toan. Now, a toan or toan is very known to the hostesses. It's when a client takes you outside of the business, either to a fancy restaurant or, a nice setting, and you're a companion, for him for the night. Well, there were hostesses that I read, according to Vice, that would actually give, hand jobs, blow jobs, and perhaps have sex with these men for large amounts of money. But again, Lucie is not like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. So Louise is just, she does very well with the Tohan, and she does very well with the hostessing. So she's trying to get Lucie on board. But Lucie, she kind of has to earn her keep. So right when she got to Japan, Lucie was, born into money. So she was used to nice things. She was used to nice hotels and, material things. But when she moved to Japan with not having a place to live, she had like 6 roommates. And it was like a hostel. And you're all sharing one bathroom. And apparently it was pretty vile. So whoever was there sharing everything with her, they were sharing her expensive, hair products and her clothes. And I'm guessing Lucie didn't like that. But, in the Japanese culture, sharing and being polite and having manners is very, very huge in that setting. So, Louisa talked into working at Casablanca. Now, Casablanca, it's either Casablanca or Casablanca. And yes, I think of the wonderful movie, one of the greatest movies of all time. Now, articles I read, guys, I read that it's a sleazy club. I read that it is open a lot of the late night. But yet I also read in other articles that it was a high-end club. But regardless, she was a hostess. Her job was to entertain men. She kept her clothes on. If you thought she was stripping or anything or burlesque, no, none of that. But she did like to dress nice. She liked to, present herself very well. In today's culture, they call it like geishas, Memoirs of a Geisha, another great film. But geishas basically were hostesses in Japanese restaurants. But back then, guys, in the 90s, 2000s, they didn't really call them geishas. Now they do. I read, like today, if you go to certain clubs, you have to be careful because you have all these extra fees that will be tacked on your bill to pay for the geishas, to pay for the hostesses. It's a lot. So that's very interesting. If you're going to Japan, definitely check out articles online because there are secret fees that you probably are not, well aware about. But in Lucie's day, I'm talking about in the 2000s, like exactly 2000, these Japanese women were called hostesses. And and there are Western women as well, all different kinds of walks of life, white women, Japanese women, all kinds of cultures. Now, Louise was talking about how much money she was making and don't worry, the men are very polite. They are not like, the UK where, Lucie's from. And, Lucie found out very quickly that, Louisa was right. Like these men are very respectable. They pay a lot of money and Lucie's enjoying it. She's getting attention. It's giving her some kind of, validation, which I feel like gave her some sort of, better self-esteem. You feel a little secure in yourself when you're a little desired. Anyone out there? Am I right? Like anyone who's listening, when you feel that you are desired, it makes you feel kind of good, right? Well, Lucie was also getting gifts and money. And she was loving it. It was great. But again, they talked about the Tohan. And she was very leery about that. Like she's just like, I'm very comfortable in the setting. My manager's looking at me. I feel safe here. But, if I leave the restaurant, I don't feel safe. But Louisa and the other hostesses who did many Tohans are like, girl, it is nothing, okay? It is just another night. It is just another day. So you should go make that money and have a great time. Yeah, so you have all these hostesses who have done Tohans and they're just like, yeah, it's not a big deal. This sounds great for a tea break, you guys. I made my favorite. When it's fall weather, you guys, I love, even fall or summer, I love lemon ginger tea. Yes, it's wonderful. It's soothing. Mm. It's a little bit spice at the end. It's wonderful. So, Tohans, like I said, were a way of life in Japan. I mean, you basically would just laugh at their jokes, or if they were inappropriate, you just giggle. And apparently, white women, from the Western civilization, were sometimes too giggly and too loud and way over the top. But Lucie wasn't. Like I said, she was very authentic, and she listened, and she, concentrated on these men. And she basically gave them respect. You know what? The men loved it. Not all the time you have to be woo to make them happy. Sometimes they just want a really decent conversation. In the beginning, Lucie did not feel comfortable in Japan. Like I said, she's 5'10", long blonde hair, light skin, and she is around all these people, and she's just like, I'm a freak. Like I don't even feel that I belong here. So with her going to Casablanca and having these men talk to her, desire her, it definitely gave her, kind of like a new lease on life in a way. And she's 21 years old. I mean, for me, she's a baby. You know what I'm saying? So, Tohans were something that you make a lot of money, but I believe that the club made a part of that money. So it's weird. For me, it sounds like an escort service, but there are articles and podcasts that swear up and down that you literally just pay for companionship. They take you out to dinner, perhaps on a date, and you just talk to them. But then when I read like Vice stuff and other articles, women do have sex with these men, and it's fine. Like it's consensual. They make a lot of money. There's no harm. I will say though, there was an article, you guys, that when the Japanese men were asked, when you go to these clubs or these restaurants with hostesses, is that considered cheating? And they are like, no, absolutely not. No, it's not cheating. And then the interviewer flips it around and they're like, okay, so what happens if your wife or your girlfriend is a hostess at one of these, establishments? And they quickly changed their tune and they were not very happy. So I feel with that conversation, we know what kind of stuff was going on. Yeah. So, but Lucie, she's listening to everybody. She trusts her best friend. She trusts other people. And, this guy comes in. Now, he spoke very good English and seemed quite articulate, but he was very sweaty. But he dressed in very nice clothes, and he had very, very fancy cars. So he ordered a Tohan with Lucie. Now, Lucie, like I said, was like, are you sure? Like, I don't know this person. And they're like, yeah, you're fine. It's a Tohan. It's all good. Like, earn your keep. You know what I'm saying? So, what she did not know, sadly, you guys, was she had come across one of the worst prolific serial rapists that had been committing these crimes, his crimes for over 30 years. I know. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, holy crap. Lucie, you poor thing. You didn't even want to do a Tohan. And one of your first clients is this prolific rapist. Like, good God. Someone said that she did do a Tohan, but I read a lot that this was her first Tohan, and that is just like, that's awful. Like, I can't imagine the luck. I don't even want to, that's like the bad luck. I don't know. I'm going to take you back, guys. I'm going to rewind you to almost to a decade ago. Okay, we're going to go back in 1992. There was this beautiful Australian woman, all right? And her name was Carlita Ridgway. She was from Australia, and she went to Japan to do her hostess job, to hang out with her, because her sister was like, oh my God, come to Japan. My boyfriend's from Japan. Be a hostess. It's fun. You can have a lot of work there. Now, Carlita, like I said, was very apprehensive, but apparently she worked at the higher end club, like not the sleazy Casablanca club. She worked in a very nice high end. Well, in 1992, all of a sudden, she is taken to the hospital for quote unquote food poisoning. Her organs were actually shutting down, and her date at the time, who brought her in the hospital, said, she had bad seafood, like bad oysters, and, she started getting really, really sick. Her family was contacted from Australia. They quickly flown in, and they met the so-called boyfriend. And they were very confused. He didn't give a lot. He gave, what we know now is a fake name. It was like Akira Nishaki or something like that, but it was an alias, just to let you know. Spoiler alert. Now, the family was in grief because Carlita was extremely loved by her family. Like, oh my gosh, her sister Samantha, it haunted her what happened to her sister. Like, she blamed herself. And it's really awful. It's no one's fault, you guys, except the freaking killer. You know what I'm saying? It's not the family's fault. Just please let that be known. But at the time, this guy, Akira, was telling the family that, hey, I'm going out with your daughter. I know her birthday's in a couple days, and I really wanted to be with her a lot more. So I was going to gift her this necklace and this ring for her birthday. And it's really sad about what happened. Now, the family did not, they didn't understand what was going on. They literally thought it was food poisoning. And sadly, guys, her brain, she started becoming brain dead. And so a week later, her organs were already shutting down and she became brain dead, and the parents had to pull the plug. Very, very disastrous time. There was no investigation at all. And the family regrets that because they did not push too much, because they were full of grief for losing their loved ones. Now, what is strange is that, the hospital had a beautiful ritual. They did, I think it was a Buddhist ritual where they had flowers and they said goodbye, and it was very peaceful and lovely. And she was cremated a few, days later. But her liver was taken and it was held in the hospital, strangely. Now, I know that's strange, guys, but let me tell you, there had to be a reason. I don't know if they felt something in their heart, or they're like, hey, we need to keep the liver. But when you find out later in this podcast, you're going to be so happy that they did. So Carlita died, a death where, like I said, they thought it was food poisoning, like really bad food poisoning. Yeah. But if they knew exactly what was wrong, I bet you they could have saved her life. But Akira did not want to say his secret. A few years after that, guys, I'm guessing mid-90s, okay? There was a girl named Katie. I know, right? I was like, go, Katie, go. She filed a report with the police that she said, hey, guys, I have been drugged and I was brutally raped. And, I need help. Now, the police just wrote it on a notepad and it was not even investigated. What? Yeah. I told you I'm going to be talking about different cultures. Again, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but it's just that in different countries, women are treated very, very differently, especially hostesses, especially people, I'm like trying to watch my words, when their visas, were running out. I feel like just women actually in Japan were treated very, very different. And you'll see why in a moment. And it's going to blow your flippin' mind. Okay. And I want to do this story because of the actual women who did not have their voices heard. Because I believe this guy has gotten away with way more crimes than any of us know about. With Katie's, she was trying to say exactly what happened. She was saying, she was a hostess. She was working, and this guy who was sweaty, that's what she said. She went to his home, he drugged her, did horrible things. She couldn't really remember exactly what happened, but she knew the next day that she had sex, that some kind of sexual activity was done to her body. And again, guys, no investigation. I'm serious. There was none. There was not an investigation. Fast forward, guys, to July 2000. We're going back to Lucie Blackwell. Lucie's dad, Tim, flew to Japan looking for his daughter. He really, he got a hold of the media, you guys. Now, this guy, he looked like a showmanship boat guy. I don't even know if that's a thing. But basically, he literally was like, look at me, pay attention to me. That's very opposite to Japanese culture. Japanese culture is very, mostly very polite, have a lot of manners, have a lot of honor, and also are kind of on the subservient side, They don't really react unless there is a reason to, unless there is enough evidence. Well, Tim didn't want to hear about it. He's like, there's something wrong, something going on with my daughter. She is missing. She has been abducted. You got to find my daughter. Now, the Japanese government was like, we are doing all that we can. We are working as hard as we can. Well, Tim, pardon me. I've learned when I talk a lot and I breathe in a lot of air, even when I sing, you guys, I yawn. I'm not tired at all. I just don't know why, because sometimes I do yawn in the podcast. When I was reviewing my older ones, I was like, why am I yawning? I feel when you get a lot of air, which I know I do when I talk or sing or take a deep breath, I automatically yawn. So let me know, is that a medical condition or is that anxiety? Yeah, I do get anxiety while talking about cases because they are extremely upsetting. And I don't want to upset anyone. I just want to get the story out because a lot of people have heard of the Lucie Blackman case, but maybe they haven't heard all the details. And I'm here to tell you that. So, okay, let's go back to Tim. So Tim is like a showmanship. Look at me, I'm a grieving dad. Where the hell is my daughter? And you know what? I really applaud him for that because he got the investigation moving. He made the Japanese police department look like numbskulls. And Japanese did not like that at all. But one thing that Tim had was money. So Tim, he would fly from the UK to Japan, and he would fly in his his children, his wife, and, and they just trying to get this investigation. See, I don't know why I'm yawning. It's annoying. Forgive me. Now, the police again were like, hey, Tim, we got this. It's going to be okay. But Tim was like, no, there are women out there that are so scared to talk that they won't talk to you, or they're not going to be Japanese women. They're going to be white women or, another culture that are scared of the police. I mean, it makes sense. You had people that are saying they were drugged and raped and nothing was done about it. So Tim is finding all these things out, and he is very, very upset. So what he does, he opens his own hotline, you guys. Yeah, Japan was not very happy about that. But he opened his own hotline and made sure that if anyone had anything, like any tips on to find his daughter, to call him and not the Japanese police. And he, gave out a huge reward. So Tim is just like, where is my daughter? What is going on? And it gets a lot of attention. Not only he grabs the media, but it's also like a global phenomenon. He got the prime minister involved in his daughter's abduction. Like I said, man, all power to Tim. Like, he may be a lot of things, a cheater, a womanizer, showman guy, whatever. But man, when you want something done, woo, go to the media and like blast them and make sure that, sadly, money comes very far in this case in all kinds of ways, which is really sad. So Lucie was abducted July 1st, 2000. Now, shortly afterwards, Louise receives a call from a guy saying that, to leave Lucie alone. She is fine. She just had joined a cult. And Tim is like, excuse me? He told the authorities and everyone that he was actually, him and his family were raised Roman Catholic. And, Lucie was not really religious. So to her actually stop talking to everybody out of nowhere and to join a cult was completely out of the question. Tim did not want to hear it. Then I feel like it's the Japanese mafia, the Yakuza. Yeah, these guys, they're scary. I don't want to mention too much. I don't want them after me. No bueno. I do not. But the Yakuza got involved and said that his daughter was actually trafficked. So Tim was doing everything he could to find his daughter. And then he was paying money here, paying money there for private investigators, for scammers. And it was awful because it's literally about him trying to find his daughter. And he got duped more than once. I know, special place in hell for those people. So almost 9 months later, Lucie's body was found. She was found in a cave 200 yards away from a residence. She was under a bathtub where her head was encased in cement. Her body was disposed and dismembered nearby in pieces. Yeah. I can't imagine being that kid or the family who stumbled across those remains, because like I said, it's in a cave, but there's like a beach nearby. And the family, I'm thinking the kids did not see it, which is awesome because trauma therapy. But they saw the upside down bathtub and they lifted it up and they just had a really bad feeling. And that's when they called authorities. And of course, they went in there and dug and saw her remains. And it was just very, very sad for everybody because people around the world was hoping she was still alive. But the way she was decomposed, she was probably murdered the night that she went missing. Joji Abara. Now, Joji Abara, his real name is King Sun Jun or something. He is half Japanese and half Korean. He changed his name to Joji Abara at 21 years old. So that's why I'm going to call him Abara. Now, he was born August 10th, 1952. Leo. Crazy, egotistical, bad Leo energy. And I'm not going after my Leos. There's so many amazing Leos out there. But this guy, he was just a very bad seed. And he came from money. So I feel like that's worse. Because you can cover up so much with money. And he did, tragically. So he is a multi-millionaire owning up to 5 properties. He was a property developer from Tokyo. He was arrested in 2001 in connection to Lucie's case. He was known to be the quote-unquote the sweaty guy. And he would have the flashiest cars, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Mercedes, a BMW, an Aston Martin, I read. I was like, holy crap, go off. Yeah, go off on yourself, mofo. Okay, sorry. Now, with other hostesses coming to the police, now about the date rapes, Katie came back as well. Yes, when Lucie's body was found, that was when the hostesses came out again, out of the woodwork. Because remember, before, the police didn't do jack squat. Well, this time, Katie comes again, and she could like, this sounds absolutely familiar. I know who did this. I know who that is. Well, the investigation led to, like I said, witness accounts, countless aliases. Obara, oh my gosh, he had so many different aliases. And he also had different properties. He had a lot of burner phones. One article I read 20, and one article I read up to 70 burner phones. Bro. You, what? Yeah. Yeah. And it also led them to a seascape resort. So you had these hostesses who survived a bara, and they were like, I know where, where he brought me. And they're like, okay, let's go. And I think the island was called Zushi with a Z. And it was a really nice seascape place. And they went there and they realized, oh no, I don't know its room, because it's like a huge condominium. So the women knew how to get there. They pointed to the condominium, and and it's close to the cave, which is like disgusting, because it's like you found the body, but yet you don't go to the condominium the same day and ask questions and get background checks with the tenants. Anyway, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not a police officer or a detective. But these hostesses did take the detective there. And it's like this seascape. But they didn't know what room. Like I said, what room is he in? And they're like, I don't know. There's so many rooms. So the police, they do a background check on the tenants. And one tenant came back with red flags. Like red flags. Okay? So this guy, Joji Ibarra, he was arrested years ago for dressing up like a woman and going into a woman's bathroom and filming. Creepy. So as soon as the police saw this on the record, they figured, we got the guy. Joji Ibarra's criminal record, it was very alarming, because they're like, okay, this guy has some kind of sexual assault in his background, filming women while going to the bathroom. That's, it's pretty gross, and very this guy has no boundaries at all, or just does not care about women's feelings at all. Now, they knew they got their guy. But when they stumbled upon this seascape, when they finally got enough evidence, because that was a joke, you guys, holy moly, it took so much evidence to even show up and arrest him. When they got there, which they got there at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is all power to you, because you don't even know what someone's going to do. One officer said that he was scared that, he may have been armed to the T and he was going to come out and shoot everybody, or he was just going to take his own life by jumping out the window. Thank goodness none of those things happened. The police came in. They said they didn't want to alarm him in any way and just wanted to ask him questions. And he had no rhyme or reason about it. He's like, yeah, no problem. But when they went into that condominium, they uncovered, you guys, 400 VHS tapes. And you're thinking, oh, well, is he a Disney person? Maybe a Quentin Tarantino lover? No. He was the sickest. He was a sick, sick guy. Not only they found over 400 videotapes, they also found diary where where it was confiscated. They found bottles and bottles of poison, of like drugs, chloroform. And the police were just shocked. And they had to watch each of these tapes. And let me tell you, they had to take breaks. Police officers could not even stand to watch one tape, and they had to get through all 400. I can't even imagine. And he's a rich prick, so these are not grainy, like old security looking tapes. Apparently, guys, not only the tapes were graphic, but it was in very, very good quality. So you can clearly see what is going on. You can see the women's faces, and you can see the disturbing matters that he performed on these women. These tapes had a bara. He was dressed up in a Zorro mask while his unconscious, I don't like to say victims, guys, because nobody wants to be a victim. But these unconscious women were in the videotape, and they were tortured and raped for hours. He would drug these women with a quote-unquote rare wine, then hoist them up by their legs, and he would insert himself, and he would insert gynecological, I'm thinking tools, like the pap smear claw thing. Ugh. And he would insert cucumbers. He would perform a lot of anal sex. And he would do this all while these women were literally passed out. And it was very, very haunting because these women look like dolls. They were seriously just naked and passed out, like just not understanding, like they were just like almost comatose. That's how bad they were drugged. And he had them for 8 to 12 hours or more. So when the women woke up, they would wake up in his bed or someplace and they would be dressed. He would explain that, they had a great time, you're going to need a few days to recover. Here's some money. And he would give them a lot of money. Now, they were wondering, what made him like pass out. They actually couldn't remember what the hell happened to them. They just remember waking up and hurting, like burning, like things were burning and pain. And they just didn't understand. And what he would do would also use chloroform. So he would chloroform these women and drug them. Now, like I said, it was very haunting because the police, like when they talk about this, I've read some interviews and I watched some, they're like clenching their fist. I mean, they're like, going it like disassociating from their bodies, the police officers that had to see these tapes, because they just did not want to be there in that room again, but they remember everything that they saw. I'm sure they do. I'm sure it was really, really messed up. He did not care or had any, he just didn't care about women at all. I mean, like the way he treated them like they were dolls, like they were his playthings. It's insane. Now, remember I talked about Carlita Ridgway in the beginning. In those tapes, in one of those tapes, one of the police officers unfortunately recognizes Carlita Ridgway and sees the horrificness happening to this girl. And it happened for hours and hours and hours. They contacted the family in Australia and they were absolutely devastated and angry because they already when Lucie went missing, remember, Carlita was only 21, so Lucie was 21. So the Australian family was like, this has got to be some kind of connection. And yeah, they were right. So the police had to actually tell them what was on the tape. They did not give exact, you know what I'm saying? I'm really happy they didn't do that or make them watch the tape. But they, in fact, said, like, this is your daughter. And, we also found his diary. And he literally, in the diary, had all of his rapes and abuse that was just, like, logged in. Yeah. And he would log in stuff like, what did I read? The main thing that won't get out of my head is that it said, Carlita and Lucie had this same exact statement under their name, and it said too much chloroform. So, we don't 100% know what happened to Lucie, but we pretty much kind of know, according to those tapes, is that poor Lucie was violently raped for hours and hours. And when she was waking up in the middle of it, because I feel like when I look at Lucie, yeah, she's, a little introverted, a little awkward, but I feel like she's a fighter and she would not let any of that happen to her. So I felt like she forced like waking up and she, did her hardest and, and he put a lot of chloroform and he killed her. And she died like probably the gruesome death that poor Carlita died of. And, when the police were looking at credit card reports or receipts, they found that he bought like a hacksaw, cement, a bucket, things to, dismember and dispose of a body. Very, very sad, very horrible. And when they saw the other 300 and something women, the police were like, okay, we need to go find these women and build a case against Ibarra. Wouldn't you know, you guys, Ibarra and his colleagues would go to these women and bribe them with money, a lot of money, to say that, because Ibarra was telling the police when they found these tapes, he's like, I paid for them. He goes, they were consensual adults. This was paid for. And the police were like alarmed because usually when you're conscious, in a sexual kind of way, and you see the tapes, it's consensual. You can tell when things are consensual and you can tell when things are not. And these women were like straight up dolls, like not even alive. I mean, they were alive, you guys, but like completely knocked out. Like date rape drugs, chloroform, like he drugged the shit out of these women. And it's awful. Now, he went to these women, like I said, and you won't believe this, guys. A lot of the women accepted the money. A lot of the women accepted the money and signed the paperwork that they were not going to go after Ibarra. There were 8 women, though, 4 Japanese and 4 white women that basically said, F you. And they did not want money. And they wanted him to get punished, which, can we just have a round of applause for these women, for these strong queens, okay? Now, Ibarra was actually charged with the murder of Carlita, but he was acquitted of Lucie's trial because of lack of evidence. Yeah, that's the first trial, guys. He gave Lucie's father equivalent at the time almost $1 million, like $800,000 to Lucie's father for him to get like a lesser sentence or some crap. Oh man, this is where I don't want to disrespect a culture. Now, in Japanese culture, I read that the criminal who hurt, again, guys, we got to use the word victim, who hurt the victim, they usually pay a lot of money to the family. It's just Japanese culture. I don't know why, but that is what he did to the father. Tim accepted the money. Yeah, his ex-wife, though, and his children, nah, they denounced him. They believed with him accepting the money, it affected the trial. I know. Ooh, that's so bad. What do you guys think? Do you think he should have accepted the money? I talked to George about this, and he was like, hell no. Hell no. I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad, my man has some principles. Sorry, Tim, if you're listening, but I can't believe you accepted the money. Your daughter was brutally raped for hours and tortured and died a horrendous death. Chloroform poisoning? I didn't even know that was a thing. It's where your body literally shuts down. So she probably was vomiting over and over again, died of dehydration to the point where her organs shut down. I mean, he won't say how she died. He won't. We still don't know to this day. I'm hoping that he got annoyed and strangled her and it was a minute. He did it fast and it was done. Because this pipsqueak was only 5'6". So I got 2 inches on this mofo. All right? And I'm sorry. And I think that's why the women did not feel threatened by him. He's 5'6". She was 5'10". But yeah, poisoning. That's insane. All right, sorry, I go on tangent. So when Lucie's body was found, like I said, she was very, very decomposed. It was awful. Her body was translucent because it was just, in the sand and in the water for many, many, many months. So they couldn't tell even how she died. So he was acquitted of murder of Lucie, but they charged him with dismemberment. He got life in prison, but, he is still alive today in person. He was charged with rape with those 8 women. He was charged with Carlita's murder. And because of lack of evidence with Lucie's, Tim said that she got justice, but we don't really know what happened to Lucie. I'm hoping, I just want to be positive, guys. I'm hoping her death was swift. It was not as horrific as Carlita's in the hospital where, their daughter and their sister was literally slowly dying and they had no idea what to do. No idea, except just watch their loved one die. I cannot imagine. I cannot. Those 8 women, though, yep, he was charged with them. But police believe that he has been charged with up to 2,000 crimes. I'm sorry, what? My thing is, there were 400 tapes found, right, guys? 400, I said. Now, I don't know about you, but before anybody gets comfortable with videotape, that must have happened way more than 400. I know. It's awful. And there were many women that went to the police, but they were not believed. There was not an investigation, and that is sickening. There's absolutely sickening. Now, the 300 women that were bribed to not talk and was given a lot of money, they also were threatened too, guys. It's not like someone's here's $50,000, shut your mofo mouth. No, these women were also very threatened. But these 8 women they wanted to get him, and they did. They did. Tim, he ended up setting up a foundation in honor of his daughter's name for foreign crimes. For people who who have dealt with foreign crimes. So he set up this foundation to help loved ones get help in that kind of matter. Now, these crimes, you would think they would bring a community together. They would bring loved ones together. They would try to reunite families, you know, with these horrible circumstances. They would try to reunite families, but it did the opposite, guys. This dismantled families. It just brought guilt and shame and just got everyone further apart. And that is the awful story of Lucie Blackman, Carlita Ridgway, and so many other women that were silenced in like the worst kind of sexual crimes. And if you guys made it to this far, you are the VIP. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening and watching. So when I said I have a shout out, I'm waiting till the end. And it's a happy shout out. So as you can see, guys, I have glitter in my hair. I went to Nightmare Weekend and met up with UNIGLITTER. I know, unicorn and glitter together. What is more perfect than that? And they had glitter freckles that you do the little highlights with glitter. You can do team spirit dots. You can do, you know, more hair highlights, like way more. I just did like a little dab, because I really wanted you guys to focus on the story and not the glitter in my hair. So I'm going to do some swatches of the glitter. I'm going to put the site in the description below. Definitely support them. I'm going to buy more. I bought this tube of glitter, guys, and I am like so excited about it. Let me see. First of all, like I said, they gave me this really cool tube where they put my glitter. And I believe they're at more conventions. Definitely check it out. UNIGLITTER.com. It's a husband and wife. Her name is Melody, and the husband's name is Josh. Very nice couple. I appreciate it. I love this idea. I love it. It is a good time. I love glitter. I mean, who doesn't? Okay. And it is with aloe vera, so it's not too sticky. And this will come off in just the shower with shampoo and conditioner. And if you're worried about your face or your hands, this comes off with a lint roller. So they actually were selling lint rollers there. So the wild glitter that I'm wearing, this one is called Silver Sparkle. Yes. Guys, this, I have my Lume Cube light on. It was an awesome birthday present. Shout out, George. You're amazing. I'm trying to show you. It is not doing it justice. That's definitely for sure. But it is very glittery. I'm trying to get the camera to... Pardon my nails, you guys. I am just resetting my nails because I'm getting ready to go to a retreat. I'm very excited about that. So I want to have my hands clean. I'm going to take off my rings and just be with nature and meditate for a few days. And I'm really excited because I definitely need a break with work, with the world, with politics, all the things. If you guys don't know, my Facebook got hacked into and it's disabled. So I do have IT people working on that, but it's still very sad. I've had it since 2009. I have my Tea Time True Crime with Katie group on there. I have my positivity empowerment group where I just put on memes. I kind of slacked a little bit because I've been working so hard on my business of financial services. And I also have my business page, Black Diamonds Financial, and I can't get to any of that. There's a page, Katie Cutie, which I've had, and it's just really sad. But the glitter, guys, there is Silver Sparkle, another one that is really pretty. This is called Angelic Shimmer. Like, look at that shimmering. It's so pretty. And this one I was obsessed with, guys. This one is called Rave Candy, and this has like a smiley face on it. Should I just like swatch? I should swatch. I should definitely do that. The next one is Rose Gold Shimmer. The next one I have is Prism Sparkle, which this is like a rainbow kind of prism sparkle. Last but not least, Lime UV Shimmer. So I'm just going to open the Lime UV Shimmer And yeah, I love this. I am so excited. And like I said, it's great customer service. The husband and wife are so dope. Look how pretty that is. Like, what? Okay. So in order to get the glitter off, like I said, guys, it's not too sticky. I promise. Just going like this. Just grab a little bit. And they said it's aloe vera. So let me just do a swipe. Look at that. I only did like a little bit because I don't want to waste it. But do you see that? Do you even, I guess I could do a bigger swipe. Sorry. I'm not like a swatchy kind of person. Wow. Okay, it's on my knuckles. Do you see how glittery that is? Are you serious right now? Yeah. That is so pretty. So pretty. I'm only going to swatch a few, you guys, because this isn't like a beauty video or makeup video, but I'm going to do the green, and I'm going to do that awesome 90s one I told you about, because it actually has smiley faces on there. Yeah. All right, get my next, oh, here it is. I almost grabbed the wrong one. Okay, this one, you guys, is, yep, Brave Candy. That's right. What a cool name. All right. So I'm opening it. And these guys, these are affordable too. Like, look at the ones I got. You know, they usually have deals and stuff like that. Okay. Check that out. All right. You can't really. All right. This reminds me of like, all right, check this out. This is not too glittery. This is like confetti. Do you see the glittery in it? And also, they sell black lights there. So when I have a black light over this, it glows. I know, I don't have one right now, but they sell them there. And yeah, they put the black light on the glitter, and I was like, sold. Thank you. All right. And you're probably wondering my hair. Like, is it really that prismy? Sorry. Okay. Sorry, this shout out has turned into like 7 minutes. Okay. All right. All right. This is what was on my hair, you guys. All right. Oops. See, I am not a swatcher, but it feels so good. It's like comforting in a way. All right. Look at that. Would you stop it? Look at that glitter. Oh! Oh my god, I'm obsessed. The light doesn't even do it justice. But you see how glittery that is? Like, what? What? Like, I'm gonna put it on, like, here. Let's put this. Let's see. Let's do something crazy. Let's do it. Can they see it? I don't know. I mean, I have a cool loom cube, but... Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, they have a little paper that comes with it. I'm making glitter freckles. Freckles! And they tell you, like, how to use the glitter. Yeah, guys, don't mind my eyebrows. I don't really have any, so I have to use, like, the stamper thing. That's my secret, y'all. I use that stamp. Look at that. Oh, shiny, shiny. All right. Well, that was fun. That was fun, you guys. I love that. Like, I love beauty and glitter and stuff. So maybe do another channel for just beauty. Nah, I'm not gonna go that route, guys. Not doing it. Thank you guys for sticking around and hearing about the shout out. And if you're on video, I hope you guys like the swatches. They're really, really cool. Definitely check them out, guys. Always support small business. I appreciate you guys listening, watching. Please know that you are loved and you are cherished. And remember, you are doing better than you think. Bye, guys.